Hi, this is Annie Grace, the author of This Naked Mind, and I am answering readers' questions. Today I have a question from Donna. She says, "Hi Annie, does everyone get withdrawal symptoms even after you decided and are firm, resolute that your conscious and unconscious minds are both in agreement that you no longer want to drink booze? Are the withdrawal symptoms something to be prepared for, and if so, what are they? I don't think I had any withdrawal symptoms the last 3 nights. In fact, I felt great, but I'm keen to know if they might kick in after a week or two. What are your thoughts?" So this is such a great question, Dawn. I feel like a few things. My work, just to say, is primarily targeted at people who are emotionally addicted to alcohol. And interestingly, there can be an emotional component to withdrawals when you quit and you feel like you're missing out on something. Your brain can tell you, oh, well, I'm feeling bad because I really need a drink. And that can even be somewhat physically. But if you are worried about withdrawals, the good news, Donna, is that you've gone 3 days, and that is when the majority of withdrawals have already happened. So I'm gonna look at some sources here just to quote this stuff correctly. But often alcohol withdrawals start within the first 8 hours, and that's like what's called stage 1 withdrawal. And stage 1 can be anxiety, insomnia, nausea, and interestingly, stage 1 withdrawal sounds a lot like a hangover. And there is an aspect, a lot of sources say, in withdrawal to a hangover. And that is why, hair of the dog, having a drink to deal with a hangover, can be effective for some people, is because there is an element of withdrawal to just even a simple hangover in some cases. So that is according to different sources. And then stage 2 is the first 1 to 3 days. That can be high blood pressure, increased body temperature. And then stage 3 really starts after between 48 and 72 hours, and that's only 5% of people who have really drink have this, but it can be the delirium tremens and the life-threatening aspects of withdrawal. Now, if you haven't had stage 1 or stage 2, you most likely don't need to worry too much about stage 3, but I have to say that if you are at all worried about withdrawals, the absolute best thing to do is to talk to your doctor and to stop under medical supervision. Your doctor will be massively understanding about this and supportive, and they'll be so excited about the decision you've made for your health and your wellness, and will absolutely give you good advice about this, because it isn't something that you want to mess with. Now, obviously, if you've gone 3 days without any symptoms whatsoever, I wouldn't say that you're in the physically kind of dependent category, and so you're probably not going to have any withdrawals. And this is really interesting to know. So there is, they no longer use the term alcoholic or alcoholism. They use alcohol use disorder. And alcohol use disorder is a series of questions, and it can range from mild to moderate to severe. And then on the severe side is where you really kick in with the physical dependence. Now the CDC did a study, and of regular drinkers, and this means 8 or more drinks per week for women and 15 or more drinks per week for men. So they classified those as excessive drinkers. Only 10% of those excessive drinkers were physically dependent. So that's only 10% are going to be in that, having severe withdrawal symptoms category, according to the study the CDC did. So the answer is no, certainly. I mean, in your experience, you've kind of proven it, that even if you were drinking regularly, absolutely not everybody gets withdrawals. My experience was that I was so excited to stop drinking, and I knew that even if I just didn't feel great for a few days, it would be a very small price to pay. I did have a little bit of insomnia, and I did have a little bit of early anxiety, and that went away within the first few days, absolutely. And so I guess, the parts of your question, just to make sure I answered it thoroughly, is that no, not everybody gets it. In fact, the majority of regular drinkers, excessive drinkers, are not physically dependent. If, however, you have been drinking for a long time and you do worry about it at all, please talk to your doctor. And very importantly, if you've had withdrawals before, so if you've tried to quit before and you've had any withdrawal symptoms, the likelihood of having withdrawal symptoms trying to quit again increases by a lot. So if you've taken a break before, let's say for pregnancy or a few days without booze, or you didn't feel good and you didn't drink and you didn't have any withdrawal symptoms, the likelihood is that you probably are going to be fine. But again, talk to your doctor. If you have tried to quit before and you've had withdrawal symptoms, the likelihood of having withdrawal symptoms in the future, the next time you quit, is much, much higher. And I think that was it for your question. But you feel great, and you've already been at it for 2 to 3 nights. I think you're in the clear. I thank you so much for the question. One other thing to say on this is there was a study that was done. A lot of people were over in Vietnam, American soldiers, and many of them were doing heroin. And so when they came back to the US, a lot of people thought that, oh, we're going to have a massive amount of heroin withdrawals and people who are addicted to heroin. And two things happened, and there's a lot of reasons that this could have happened, is that most of those people just quit like cold turkey without any problem, without any physical symptoms. So there is something to say that even with a drug as addictive as heroin, there's a very big mental aspect to withdrawals. And then the second part of that is that when they weren't in that kind of, war-torn country with the loneliness and the stress, and they were back in their lives that were fully connected, the need for kind of the drug went away. So there's a whole big idea of, connection being the opposite of addiction here as well. So anyway, it's a phenomenal question. There's so many aspects to it, but thank you so much and have a great day. Again, it's Annie Grace, author of This Naked Mind.